throw, drives one in the air. Deep right field. It's got a chance. Grand slam. Way back it might be. It could be. Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win. Holy cow.
The Dingers podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Mitch, and I'm here with Jeffrey, who, if you're watching on the YouTube, he is live from the 1989 Cubs locker room. So how are you doing tonight, Jeffrey?
Not bad. Can I get anybody some Ben Gay? Flex all 454.
That's right. Gotta keep the old chicken wing loose.
Throwing it back. Hot ice, everyone. So, how's Mitch today?
I am doing great because Belli is back, baby. He's back. And I don't know about you, but like we've done a couple episodes and I've tried to keep on like a pretty good like face, like that I'm like positive about this baseball season. But like, I'll be honest, it was really hard for me to like, especially knowing that the NL Central was wide open for the taking and that Jed played it smart, but for the longest time, the moves just weren't enough for me to get super excited about baseball. But 2:00 Sunday morning, that all changed when I woke up in the morning and got the text message from our buddy Kevin that we got our boy Belli back. And it was like instantly, like I looked at my phone, saw that. My wife woke up, and the first thing I said to her was like, "We're winning the NL Central, baby." And she's like, "What?" I was like, "Belli's back." Like, and I'm instantly now like back in, like super excited about the season, super excited, like believing in this team, believing in Jed. Yeah, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, I imagine when she got the news that Belli re-signed, she probably said, "That's wonderful, dear," and rolled over and went back to sleep.
Yeah, pretty much how it happened. And I have been kind of like, because of all of it, like my son's been in wrestling. He made it qualified to state wrestling this last week. And so I was at that, like in Des Moines, going through the state wrestling and doing all that. And so I was like fully engrossed in that, in how easily and how quickly my attention turned to baseball and like shifted from wrestling really, really fast. Like now the season's over. Now it's like I can fully put all my attention on the Cubs, and it's great. I love it. Like, love the signing. Love what the deal. Like, I think it's good for both Bellinger and for the Cubs. Worked out well in both situations. So love it.
Yeah, it makes for a long off season when there's not a lot of deals being had. And I kind of felt like if Bellinger did resign with the Cubs, that it would be like a Dexter Fowler situation we had in 2016.
And it was on the same day that Dexter Fowler walked in. And what else happened in 2016? Do you remember?
I think the longest drought ended.
That's right. The Cubs win in the World Series. That's right. But what I really like about this thing, and I tweeted, I think on a Friday, about I've liked what, and that was before Belli signed, but how I'm not a big Scott Boras fan. I don't think he's good for baseball. I think for the longest time, he has got teams to over market value players and get them to spend a lot more on players than they should. Not saying, like, and I want to preface this, I'm all about players getting their worth. I'm all about players getting money. Yeah, I'm not pro owner per se, but a lot of times Boras has way too much power, and you're going to see this in the next collective bargaining agreement, the amount of power he has, because he's mad now that owners are he would say colluding. I don't think they're colluding against his players, but I think they're playing it smart. I think he's, especially this year, you saw how he's not read the market correctly on 4 of his players, and it's costing his players money. I feel bad for Jordan Montgomery because he's not even listening to offers, because he's still listening to offers for Schnell, and there can be teams that want Montgomery and they're bidding first for Schnell before they even get to Montgomery. So like, I just feel that like in this situation, like he over market valued what he thought Cody Bellinger was worth or what teams were willing to spend. And you saw that all the teams were not willing to do that. And the Cubs weren't going to outbid themselves. And so Jed played it extremely smart and just waited until Cody wanted to come back, or they finally got where the numbers, the years on the contract came down to where Jed was comfortable, and the value in money, like he still got pretty good chunk of change. Like he's getting 30 the first 2 years and then 20 the last, but an opt out after every year. Like I like it. And it's kind of like the Carlos Correa deal. But I think more teams are going to be doing that, especially now. You got to look at the rest of the Montgomery and Schnell and I can't remember. Oh, Chapman. Like they're going to probably get similar deals to that, where it's going to be 2 to 3 deals. So like all MLB teams, like I'm sure you have a spot for 1 year for those guys that you could do a 2-year contract or a 3-year contract with opt-outs and get them. If you need a guy this year, you could get Cubs. You could go and do the same exact deal and get Jordan Montgomery and put another horse in your rotation. Like, not saying they will. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Cubs are pretty much done, besides maybe a couple role pieces, which you saw them pick up Garrett Cooper and Dom Smith. And so they made other additions. But anyway, like I'm glad that teams are starting to not give in to Boris. And so to see him, I don't know, squirm a little bit, it's fun.
Yes. Maybe we could call it a loss, a little bit of a loss for him. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan either, because I don't think he's a great person for baseball or sports in general. He's making things expensive for us everyday people to go out and watch a game. And I think he's hurt other clients in the past with like asking like a hefty price, big long contracts, and other teams haven't wanted to pay that for their players. But no, I think this deal that we got with Cody is a great deal for the Cubs and for Cody. At least it gives us like a little bit of a bridge until PCA is really ready to be the everyday center fielder.
Yeah, and like kind of the way that I look at it is it does 2 things. It relieves some pressure on some guys, and it provides us a ton of flexibility. Like when I talk about pressure, like before Bellinger, it was like, okay, we're handing the keys to these young guys. We're handing the keys to PCA and to like partner up with Talkman out there. And we're handing the keys to Michael Bush to partner with Patrick Wisdom or Mervis over at first. And I mean, I was okay with that. I wouldn't have been as excited for the season knowing that would happen, but I could understand Jed where he's not willing to go the 7 for $210 or $200 million contract. So for me, I was like, okay, I get it. And I would do the same thing, Jed. Let's ride with these other guys. Let's ride and see, give the keys to the young guys and see what we got. But now that we do have Cody, what it does is it relieves the pressure on those guys from having to be the guys. Because you have somebody that you can put into center, you can put into first, you can spell somebody that's maybe going through it a little bit and having a tough stretch. And you provide another lefty bat in the lineup, it only makes things better. And it even takes pressure off of of Christopher Morel, or even like Dansby Swanson, to have another dude that has some pull in the clubhouse. Like there's so much pressure. I think it takes off those guys. And my focus is just, it takes some pressure off the young guys to have to step up and be the guys this year.
Right.
This year.
I mean,
So-
it'll make the lineup card a little bit easier, because if we didn't get Cody back on the team for at least another season or two, now you're playing like you're dancing with Talkman's going to get this day, and then maybe it's Morale this day, maybe PCA over here, and then you also got Morale trying to play third base too, sharing spots with Wisdom. So it kind of takes a little bit of heat off the manager per se.
Yeah. And like the flexibility it allows Craig Counsell when writing lineups, like he has a ton of flexibility to, with when you have Canario in the fold, you have Morel, you have Madrigal, you have Michael Busch, you have Patrick Wisdom, you have Talkman, you have these guys that some of them can play multiple positions. They can, if Wisdom gets on his hot stretch, because Counsell knows he can get super hot at times, and sometimes you're gonna have to play him when he's in his hot stretch at third base, at first base, and at DH. There are three places where you can fit him in and still not lose time with a Morel or with a Michael Busch or with a Cody Bellinger. You can still have those guys in the lineup even when Wisdom is going through his hot stretch, or when it's providing time even for Morel to figure it out at third base. This just relieves a little pressure and gives us a little bit more flexibility when we are kind of like, can Morel be our everyday third baseman? And we'll get into that. We're gonna have a whole segment on Morel here in a little bit, but like it just provides so much, that one dude, one more guy provides so much in this lineup. And it does. Like when I'm looking at the possible lineups, like, probably in the corners are going to be Hap and Seiya most of the days that they're going to be out there. Canario might spell Seiya out there in right every once in a while, or maybe Talkman will slide over to left field some, but those are going to be there. Then you have the opportunity. You can have Talkman, you can have Canario, you could have PCA when he gets called up. I do believe that PCA will probably now start the first month or so, 2 months at Iowa. So we're going to be able to enjoy him here at Iowa, watching him in Des Moines at Principal Park.
But you from the Marquee Network, me.
Yep. and then you can put Bellinger out in center. And you can now, it gives Michael Busch some more opportunities where he can find his own kind of at first. I know they're wanting to give the keys more to Michael Busch at first base. Like now it allows him to kind of do that without the pressure of being the left-handed bat in the order. Like you have another lefty that can provide some power and some pop and some protection, the 3 Ps in the lineup that will only help this lineup be better. So then you have Nico every day at second base. You have Dansby. You have Madrigal in Morel at third base. Wisdom, Canario DHing with Bellinger coming in DHing. You have Gomes and Amaya at catcher. Like, my question to you is, we really have the same team as last year. You've only kind of just traded out Shota Minaga for Stroman. Is this team better this year than last year? And you have Michael Busch in the fold rather than Eric Hosmer, Trey Mancini, and who else you wanted to throw over there at third or first base? Jeimer Candelario.
You mean Dale Hosmer?
Is Dale Hosmer, sorry. Is this team better than it was last year?
It looks better on paper to me. And I think they will be better than they were last year. Some of it is, I think the younger guys are, they got the year of experience under their belt. But I think some of it is because we have a manager that is typically playing chess when the other managers he's managing against are playing Connect Four.
Yep.
I mean, I looked at it like I didn't feel like Milwaukee always had better teams than the Cubs. I thought we were pretty evenly matched, but I think they got the better of us the last couple of seasons just in managerial decisions. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out the first two games and kind of see what Craig Counsell's style is. I mean, that's what I'm excited about. So, yes, I do think we are a better team this year than last year.
And to think, like, you bring up Craig Counsell, I think he's going to add 3 wins. Like if it was war on a manager. I also think about the beginning of last year and how much time we gave to Eric Hosmer, to Trey Mancini. I mean, there were some others. I can't even think of their names, but there were some others that were on this team that we DFA'd. I blacked them out, but I know there were some others. VR? No, that was 2 years ago. See how we've brought in so many of those type of guys that have just eaten up time, and then the Cubs have DFA in the middle season. Tucker Barnhart, all those guys that we gave so much time last year. And if we had just done what we did this year, where we have now some young guys where we can trust in for a little bit of time and still invest in the future, we missed out on the playoffs by 1 game last year.
Yeah, we're right there.
Just think of how many games in the first 2 months of the season we lost because we were invested in guys that we shouldn't have.
Right. Gotta remember when they kept trying to play Mancini in right field. Oh God, that was horrid.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, just that alone helps this team be a better team than last year.
Faux show. I see Scott C. from Iowa thinks I look like I'm on the set of Saw 6.
You missed it, Scott. At the beginning, I said that he's in the 1989 Cubs locker room, but Saw 6 kind of, they're pretty much the same. I think it was shot at the Cubs locker room in 1989.
I'm waiting for somebody with a machete to come around the corner of my furnace. Just end it all in a live state.
I do want to bring up the Cubs did sign Garrett Cooper to a minor league deal. The dude has been extremely underrated performer, playing for the Miami Marlins and for the Padres. I mean, from 2019 to 2020, hit 274, 350, 444, 117 WRC plus, was an all-star, pretty legit dude. What does this mean? What do you think this means? Is it just to add some depth in case of an injury during spring training? I do know, like, it was reported, Heyman reported that it was between the Cubs and Red Sox to sign him. Could the Red Sox now be in the market for a Patrick Wisdom or Matt Mervis? I don't know. What do you think this all means?
The game is afoot, I'll tell you that. Means a couple different things, like depth, like you mentioned at the beginning, but it also leaves some people probably open for spring training trades.
Who, if you were to say somebody, who do you think's gone?
Matt Mervis. I really hate to say it. I really had such a great time last week interviewing him, but I think Patrick Wisdom. And that's kind of you can't fully invest in being a fan and do a podcast not think that some of your favorite players that you like watching are one day not going to be there, because it happens. This is a business.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I loved having Patrick Wisdom on. I've talked to him at the Field of Dreams, interacted, like texting and messaging back and forth. Yeah, I would not want now to see Patrick Wisdom go now, because we have that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if I was the Red Sox, and Red Sox need a power right-handed bat in the lineup. That's why they were going after Garrett Cooper. And now that he's gone, it does open up where the Cubs could trade.
They got anybody we want? We need?
Maybe we could get picking from them. I don't know. Speaking of Patrick Wisdom, he's on my TV right now. So I don't know. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just they want some insurance, and why not have another veteran guy in the minors? I don't know.
I mean, competition does like bring out like greatness. It's like, hey, nothing's set in stone who's playing over in this corner or who's playing over in this corner. So you guys duke it out on the field this spring. I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah. And they've added quite a few like depth pieces with Dom Smith, David Peralta, which I think those are good pieces. Like we're going to need a good deep bench and some guys that can come off the bench and hit. Dom Smith's a great dude. Like the dude can hit. He's been known to hit. He hit with the Mets. It's just, the problem with when he was with New York is they didn't have a place for him to play positionally. And he couldn't play first because Pete Alonso was over there. He's not going to play first this year because they're going to give that time to Michael Busch into Bellinger. So I don't know where he would play positionally, but I do like his bat. David Peralta can play some outfield. I think he is a good pickup for just some extra outfield depth, especially if we don't get the Mike Tauchman. The summer of Tauchman doesn't come for another summer. Like we need the summer of Tauchman to last 2 summers. And so hopefully that production is there for another season. But if it's not, at least we have like a guy like Dave Peralta that has been pretty consistent dude in the major leagues for a little while to be able to play some outfield.
For sure. Yeah. So all sorts of options.
Let's talk a little bit about Christopher Morel. What production do you want out of Morel if he is your everyday starting third baseman?
Oh, well, he better play better third base defense than Aramis Ramirez. For sure. But he doesn't have to be perfect because he's got Dansby over there on his glove side with a ton of range. So, I don't know. He doesn't have to be perfect, but he's got to be decent.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Dansby, I would say, dude, just worry about guarding the line because I got everything glove side. Don't even come over. Just stay over there. And that does, like, knowing that we have a Dansby and a Nico up the middle, nickel and dimes, does relieve any defensive issues we may have at first or at third. I mean, we had Trey Mancini playing first for a long time. All you need to do is just stand over there and catch the ball, which Trey Mancini had a tough time doing. But at third base, we saw how much Madrigal improved a lot of people wrong and worked his tail off in spring training to get better at third. I want to see Christopher Morel do the same thing defensively this year, is prove a lot of people wrong. And then offensively, I want him to rake. And I was looking at Fangraphs, what their projections of Morel this year. So last year, he had 26 bombs. He had a walk rate of 8.4, a strikeout rate of 31, which is pretty high. Batting average of 247, OP or OBP of 313, slug 507 or 508, a WRC plus of 119 with a WAR of 1.4. Most projections have him to have pretty much the same numbers as last year, except for Zips has him at a 2.1 WAR rather than a 1.4.
Is that better? You know, I'm not a WAR guy.
Yes, that's better. It's another win.
Oh, okay.
They're projecting him to improve and help the team win one more game.
So I can correlate it like I do my INR number. The higher mine is, the thinner my blood is. So the higher the WAR, the more wins.
Yes.
All right, perfect.
But they project him in every other statistical category to be pretty much the same. He needs to figure out how to bring that K rate down. But again, when you have a Bellinger in the lineup too, it relieves a little bit of pressure. And then you can kind of take some of the Ks that come with Morel in the lineup. You can take those a little bit easier. Right. It's like when Sammy Sosa, like you could take all the Ks that Sammy Sosa had because he was hitting dingers and he had people around him to help him. You can accept guys like Morel in your lineup when you have other guys that are producing. And it does kind of maybe throw a wrench or change some things for Nick Madrigal. It impacts Nick Madrigal on how we're going to use him. But I still think even Nick Madrigal is going to get his opportunities to get in that lineup, right? Like he's a contact bat. Like we need contact in that order. I feel like he's still going to figure out how to get his at bats, whether that's getting a pinch hit appearance when we need a contact or to move a guy over or to lay down a bunt. Like we're going to figure out ways to, I think, I'll say it this way. I think Craig Counsell will figure out ways how to use him and implement him in the right position and in the right time to win ball games. When you give really good tools to a really good contractor, he's going to build you a pretty good house. And it's the same thing when you have Craig Counsell. I think he can use Nick Madrigal in the right way, even if he's not your everyday third baseman. That sound good?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, I mean, you've laid it all out there. It's a nice roadmap. It makes perfect sense. I just like that we do have like these Swiss Army knife type guys that can kind of play everywhere. You can insert them here, insert them there, kind of thing.
I just like that for so long we were trying to find our Ben Zobrist.
Oh my God.
And now we have like quite a few of them.
It's at least 6. Does anybody else remember when Ian Hatt played second base?
I was there when. Yeah. Do you remember when? So yeah, but I do. I'm excited that Christopher Morel can be our everyday third baseman this year. Do I think he's the long-term solution? And I think next year, even if Morel has a really good year, I still think they're going to be in the market to sign or trade to get a third baseman. And I mean, we're going to kind of could be in the same situation that we were this year in the offseason as next year. If Morel and Bush don't produce this year, we're going to be in the market for a first baseman and third baseman all over again. The only one I think that they would give a little bit more leeway room to is PCA. I think after the midway season of this year, they're going to give those keys in center field to PCA, and let it ride. But I could see if Michael Bush doesn't pan out, even though they gave a lot for him, that they could be in the market for Pete Alonso as a free agent. And then they just have to focus on third. And there's banking and hoping that Morel has a really good year and he's our third baseman.
Dude, I love it. If his bat was this pop from day one, continue.
I mean, well, the first spring training game of this year, what do you do? Dingers. I don't know. I got special. Yeah. Like,
crap, mine's broken.
Did everybody see that? Can I get it to do it again? Nope.
Thing
yeah.
Sucks.
So we have had some spring training games. I have one from Saturday or Sunday on my TV right now. I was rewatching before the episode. It's just been really good to watch Cubs baseball again. And again, after the Cody Bellinger signing, like, it's got me excited to watch baseball. I have the countdown in my classroom already going to opening day. Getting kids excited.
32 days?
It's 30 days.
30 days?
30 days, like probably 7 hours and I don't know, whatever. But getting excited, getting pumped, and the Cubs did exactly what we wanted them to do. We wanted them to go get a guy, get one of the guys. I really never wanted Matt Chapman. I think we can get just as much production from third base out of Christopher Morel as we would Matt Chapman. Maybe not defensively, but when we have Dansby and Nico, that makes our defense pretty good the way it is. So, yeah, I'm excited, but I thought we should jump on and talk quick a little bit about the Cody Bellinger signing. So that's what this episode is about, getting excited for Cody Bellinger. And
I'm actually kind of shocked that he's still a Chicago Cub.
You didn't think it was going to happen?
No. And I try not to get really excited about the offseason and like the potential free agents. It's just, I mean, it makes it a long offseason when nothing's happening, and every beat writer out there is putting out articles about potential landing spots for all these guys. It just wears on me. So I really try not to pay attention to it. So when Kevin texted the group on Sunday that Belli was back, I'm like, well, it's about time. So,
where's your excitement level for the season?
Probably not Christmas Eve, little kid excited, but it's more or less, I wonder if I'm going to get a raise from the Tooth Fairy excited. So there's still I have some questions about holes and roles that players are going to fill, but I'm actually thinking about taking opening day off this year and just watching baseball all day.
Well, I think the Cubs play an evening game. I think
I can tailgate.
But I think they play the Rangers, and I think it's a night game that they play their first game. I'm
well, at least it's in Central Standard Time. That way, it's, I hate it when they're on the West Coast because the games don't start till 9:10.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, because wait. The first game is March 30th. Is that one there?
Kevin, I don't know if you're listening.
6:35.
6:35. I could probably stay awake for all that. Kevin, I don't know if you're listening or not, but you're not really RSVP'd to CrossFit tomorrow. You better not leave me hanging yourself, a son of a bitch. There were 3 of us at Friday's CrossFit, and it was a redo of the 15.5 open workout where it was thrusters and rowing. It was terrible.
The open is this week. The open is this week.
So yeah. I don't know how many people are going to show up for 5 a.m. on Friday. We're staging a coup.
You staging a coup. I'll send one message and get you guys all to go.
Oh, Scott C is from 83 to 87 games excited right now.
Okay. I do think they are the front runner and leader to be able to win the Central. They should win the Central. And so that makes me excited. Every year this team should be competing to win the Central. Scott, yes. Switch back to CrossFit.
I don't know. Like, is the barbell club where you just doing like heavy Olympic lifting there and like heavy deadlifts, back squats, cleans, stuff like that?
We bench barbell.
Personally, I've never really been to a barbell club, and I don't know if I'd really like it because there's a lot of Olympic lifts that I don't really care because I work in the trades and I am never gonna snatch grip anything above my head ever.
Maybe you could tell me you're never snatched telephone pole over your head.
Never, not even a piece of conduit. But yeah, heavy lifting, bench, deadlift, and squat.
I mean, we do the same thing, Scott. We just do it for time.
Yeah. Here's the deal, Scott. I got excited about CrossFit because I heard there was minimal running involved. I think my first 3 months at CrossFit, I think we ran 4 days a week, and I was pissed.
And I was his coach, and I just laughed the whole time.
I mean, I think running's going to feel different for me now that my heart actually works properly, but it's still not going to be my favorite thing to do.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap this up. We wanted to jump on, get excited with you. The Cubs got Belli. We're back, and we stuck it to the whiny baby, Scott Boras. I think I told my wife this, and you would like this because we've constantly talked to you, Jeff, about your parenting advice that you give.
Oh, yeah.
That Scott Boras is like the child that throws fits, and the parent, which would be you, just give them what they want to get them to quiet down. And finally, this year, the parents got together and were like, you know what? He can just throw his little fits and we're not going to give him what he wants. And some may call that a coup. Some might call that good parenting. But eventually, the lesson will be taught to the child, and you can come to an understanding and still get the thing accomplished. And that's what Jed did.
I don't know if it's colluding if everybody says pass the same note. Don't give in. Just stonewall him.
But anyway, thanks for listening. That does it for episode 144. We're almost to 145, or Jeffrey.
Ooh, cake episode
of the Dingers podcast. Thanks for listening, and go Cubs.
Yeah, hey, thanks for all the comments tonight, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you.
Very much. Love it. Thanks. Good night and go Cubs.